Hey, let's talk a little bit about the nitrate water quality test that we're going to perform. You want to make sure that you've read through the background information in your lab manual. They've got a lot of great content about how nitrate enters a system of water, mostly by human impact on the watershed, and some of the implications of a high nitrate content. And in our curriculum, that's what we want to know. And how does this pollutant get in the water? What kind of problems does it cause once it's there? So let's take a look at the equipment or procedures that we're going to use. We're using a Hawk water testing kit. They're pretty nice quality kits that give us really good results. And the kit consists of this color viewing tube. There's a color wheel that fits into this that has increment values on it. We'll come back to that in a minute. Please always make sure that you store this in the little plastic bag so that it doesn't get exposed to light and those colors don't fade, because the color ultimately is going to give us a concentration. But when I'm ready to use it, I open my little color viewing door and I can insert it right onto the peg in there. We also are given two tubes. One of those tube samples is going to be treated river water. So whenever it's talking about your sample here, your sample is simply water that you get from the river. One of the most important things, because we will be doing the low range test, it says to fill it to the mark with sample to be tested. Maybe can't see it real well, but there is a line down there that indicates that fill mark, and it's about a 5 milliliter mark. So you don't fill the entire tube, you fill it to that low mark that's on the tube. We have to treat the water sample, the river water sample, to extract that nitrate. And there are two different chemicals that we use. One is labeled Nitrover 3, the other is labeled Nitrover 6. The top of these little pouches of pre-measured chemical should just tear right off of there. You shouldn't need a clipper to open those. Just read the directions carefully, because you first add the Nitrover 6 to one of the tubes. River water, treat only one of the samples. In this step, you're going to see, after this 3 minutes of shaking and that wait time, you're going to see potentially little particles of undissolved cadmium metal at the bottom. And so I want to decant my treated sample off into the other tube and leave the cadmium behind. I'll come back and use that tube again. Next, I'm going to add the Nitrover 3. And notice that you sometimes need to leave this sit for quite a while. Ultimately, you're going to see some amount of pink color develop. The darker the pink color, the more the nitrate's in the water. So it may be really light. It would be a good thing if we didn't have a lot of nitrate. And so as I read down in my procedure, then I'm going to come back and rinse out the cadmium from this and just fill it with blank river water. So I've got two different samples. Notice that I have a prepared sample. This is the river water that's been treated through this entire procedure. And then I have an untreated sample that I again fill to that little 5 mil, that low mark on there, with just river water that nothing has been done to it. I've already got my color wheel in my viewing box. Look at the picture. You can see that the untreated sample goes on the outside, the treated sample goes on the inside. I close the door and I'm going to rotate the color wheel until these two colors in the windows match up, and then I can read what the value is. This part gets a little tricky as well. My lowest reading is 0 milligrams per liter. This first large delineation is 0.1 milligrams per liter. So I have 0.02, 0.04, 0.06, 0.08, and 0.1. Notice then that I take that reading off the viewing tube by 4.4 to get my final nitrate level in milligrams per liter. You will have buckets out in the field to dump any treated chemical water with. Rinse those tubes with river water when you're done and check the kit back in.